On a seemingly ordinary morning, Mark, a 30-year-old man with a predictable routine, was jolted from his monotonous life by a letter that carried an unexpected message. Mark had always believed that life was about the simple pleasures: work, home, and occasional leisure. But this letter, from someone he hadn't seen in years, hinted at something much deeper. The words within it would soon turn his world upside down, challenging his beliefs and pushing him toward a purpose he never knew he was seeking. In today's episode of Tales with Meaning, we dive into a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat, a tale about finding fulfillment through living with purpose. As you follow Mark's journey, you'll witness how one unexpected event can transform a life that seemed destined for mediocrity into something truly extraordinary. Mark was, by all accounts, a man of routine. Every day was a mirror image of the last wake up at 7 a.m., eat breakfast, commute to work, and return home to unwind in front of the television. Life was predictable, safe, and, in his mind, just fine. He had a steady job at an accounting firm, a modest apartment, and a small circle of friends with whom he shared occasional dinners. It wasn't exciting, but it was comfortable. One morning, however, Mark's predictable life took an unexpected turn. As he was sipping his coffee and sorting through the mail, he came across a letter with no return address. The handwriting was familiar, but he couldn't quite place it. Curiosity piqued. He tore open the envelope and pulled out a single sheet of paper. The message was brief, but it shook him to his core. "Mark, it's been a long time. I need to see you. There's something you need to know, something that could change everything. Meet me at the old spot, tomorrow, 8 p.m. Jay." Mark's mind raced. Who was Jay, the old spot? It had been years since he'd gone to the small cafe where he used to meet his childhood friend, James. They had drifted apart after college, their lives taking different paths. Why would James reach out now, after all this time? And what could he possibly have to say that would change everything? The next day passed in a blur. Mark couldn't concentrate at work. His mind kept wandering back to the letter. What could James want? His heart pounded as the clock neared 8 p.m. He had almost talked himself out of going, but something deep inside him urged him to find out what this was all about. As he entered the dimly lit cafe, Mark immediately spotted James sitting in a corner booth, looking older and more worn than he remembered. James greeted him with a strained smile, and they exchanged small talk, both clearly uncomfortable with the years of silence between them. Finally, James leaned forward, his expression turning serious. "Mark, I know we haven't spoken in a long time, but I had to reach out to you. There's something I've been carrying with me for years, and it's time you knew the truth." He paused, as if searching for the right words. "Do you remember the accident, the one right after graduation?" Mark nodded slowly. How could he forget? It was a car crash that had claimed the life of another friend, Adam. It was a dark time, and the memory of it still haunted him. James took a deep breath. "What you don't know is that Adam was on his way to meet me that night. He was going to tell me something that would have changed his life. But he never got the chance. I've spent all these years wondering what it was. I couldn't live with the idea that his life ended with unfinished business. So, I started looking into his life, trying to piece together what he was doing in those last few days." Mark felt a chill run down his spine. "What did you find out?" James hesitated, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, worn notebook. "This," he said, placing it on the table, "is Adam's journal. It's filled with thoughts and plans, but there's one entry that stands out. He wrote about a dream he had, a vision of his life's true purpose. He was going to quit his job, leave the city, and start a non-profit organization to help underprivileged children. He believed that this was his calling, his reason for being. But he never got the chance to fulfill it. Mark stared at the notebook, his mind reeling. "Why are you telling me this?" James looked him in the eye. "Because, Mark, you and I are not living with purpose. We're just going through the motions, day in and day out." Adam had figured out what he was meant to do, but he never got to do it. We still have that chance. I didn't know how to process this when I first found out, but now I realize that we owe it to Adam and to ourselves to live with purpose. The words hit Mark like a ton of bricks. He had never thought much about purpose or fulfillment. He had always been content with the way things were. But now, faced with the reality of a life cut short, a life that had a clear sense of direction, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that he was wasting his own. Over the next few weeks, Mark found himself thinking more and more about Adam's dream. He started volunteering at a local community center, helping children with their schoolwork. It was a small step, but it felt right. The more he got involved, the more he realized how much he had been missing out on. James, too, made changes. He left his corporate job and started working for a non-profit organization that focused on environmental conservation, a cause he had always cared about but never pursued. The two friends reconnected through their newfound sense of purpose, supporting each other as they navigated their new paths. As the months passed, Mark felt a deep sense of fulfillment that he had never experienced before. He was no longer just going through the motions. He was living with intention, driven by a desire to make a difference. And it all started with that letter that reminded him that life is fragile and fleeting, and that true happiness comes from living with purpose. Thank you for joining us today on Tales with Meaning. Mark's journey reminds us that life is about more than just the routine. It's about finding and pursuing our true purpose. By stepping out of his comfort zone and embracing the unknown, Mark discovered a deeper sense of fulfillment that had eluded him for so long. It's a powerful lesson for all of us. Living with purpose brings true fulfillment. We hope this story inspires you to reflect on your own life and consider what it means to live with intention and meaning. Until next time, keep seeking purpose and making a difference. Thank you for listening.